100% of what put me ahead was ambition. As great as it would be to sit here and tell you that I was reading books when I got off, that didn't come until much later. The reason I moved up in the ranks is because I showed up every single day. I worked as hard as I could. Every single day I was trying to learn something so that I wasn't a helper for that anymore. Whether it was like, let's pick one element of this pool, hanging a skimmer. Can I do that? I watched him do it yesterday. Let me do it today. Boom. I don't need instruction on this anymore. I was super proactive in watching, learning, asking questions, and then mastering it myself. That's how you move up.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Pool Chasers 2.0 podcast. I'm your host, Greg Viafania, and what better way to start the new year than to announce Pool Chasers' new co-host, Justin Maximilian Bowie. Great to have you here, brother.
Thanks, man. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. So you've been on the podcast 3 times, and all 3 of those episodes are on the top 10 most downloaded of episodes. How freaking cool is that?
Feels pretty good, man. I'm pretty stoked on it.
So in this episode, really want to get to know you more and kind of our relationship. You know, we've got a history. We do a lot of stuff together, and just share with people what they can expect this year. I think the podcast is going to change quite a bit. We're going to revamp this and go outside of pools. We'll talk all about that. But first, let's grab a cold one.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. What you got?
So today I got Valley Beer, which is by Wren House Brewing, local brewery. Delicious beer.
Okay.
Yeah, more of like a light American lager. Actually, I'm not going to call that light. That sounds pathetic. This is an American lager.
Okay. I like that.
Beautiful
I like that
artwork.
can. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, they do a good job. It's a good spot. Wren House. Shout out Wren House.
So you get a beer if it has an ugly can?
I mean, you know, I don't know how much the can plays in, but it's awfully nice to have a beautiful can to look at when you're drinking. That's for sure.
So I searched high and low for the right beer. Actually, I only met it to Bevmo. But, man, when I was walking down the second aisle, I found this AleSmith Sublime Mexican Lager. Right away, I knew it was a match made.
You know what's funny? That is literally the Sublime's like CD cover from when I was in high school. The little sun on there.
Oh yeah.
So they're directly ripping off Sublime. So that's great.
I'm sure they work together in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I did go to one of the tasting facilities in San Diego, AleSmith.
Okay.
I think they have a much larger one, but I went to their tasting place, and yeah, I just kind of fell in love with the brand and the beer. The beer's phenomenal. I had what did I have? Like a dark coffee stout. It was freaking gnarly, dude.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was really good.
Those cans are also equally beautiful.
I ain't fucking with anything that don't look cool.
Aesthetics.
Aesthetics, baby. This episode is brought to you by Poolside Tech. Have you ever wanted your pool lights to dance to the beat of your favorite Spotify playlist? How about built-in water leveling or dirty filter detection? And maybe you need to set restrictions for specific features of your pool with Airbnb mode. Look no further. The Attendant, powered by Poolside Tech, is the latest in pool automation. Their system offers innovative features and applied intelligence to help it think and communicate with both the pool pro as well as the homeowner. The Attendant is vendor agnostic, so it's compatible with equipment from existing manufacturers on the market today. It manages chemistry levels and automatically dispenses chemicals to remove the day-to-day worry. And with the approach to mindfully manage the energy usage of a pool, it checks all those boxes. And did I mention these things look badass? To learn more, you can visit their website at poolside.tech. Again, that's poolside.tech. Or find the link in our show notes below. All right, so everybody gather around the campfire here. Let's jump into early Justin Bowie days. So where did you grow up?
From a town in southern Maryland called La Plata. Super rural, a lot of farms. Like there was an area that I grew up that was all swamps. There's a lot of water there in general. Hour drive to school. Pretty rural. So yeah, that's where I grew up. A lot of the Bowie name is heavy in that area. There's, I don't know, multiple lines of the Bowie lineage, I guess you would say.
Nice. I've heard you talk about like a lot of kids get started working early in that area. And
Yeah.
I dissected that a little bit because I'm like, man, that must have a lot to do with who you are. Because I think a lot of people here like don't grow up getting pushed into work super early.
Yeah, I mean, where I'm from, work was everything. And you know, we looked up to the guys that were in the trades. I don't think anybody in the town that I grew up in was, you know, obviously there was a lot less technology then, but no technology. Everybody was a tobacco farmer, or they were building houses, or they did heavy construction or whatever. So all of the kids like myself, whose parents and families were into that, that's what they did. You know, you would see the kids in school that were tobacco farmers, and you'd know them right away. You'd look at them, they'd be jacked, because what they make the kids do is hang the tobacco in the barns. You know, you hang it to dry, and those kids were jacked. And you would know who's a carpenter. Like, he would show up and he'd have the pencil in his pants. And you know what I mean? It was just everybody was super into working where we're from. Nothing was given. I mean, I super appreciate growing up like that. I worked from, I mean, the time that I could walk around and pick up nails on a job site, I've been on the job site. So
yeah, because Pops, he was a home builder, right?
yeah, well, ironically, most of my experience came from my best friend Matt's dad, who also built homes.
Brosy?
Yeah, Brosy.
Hell yeah. What's up, Brosy?
Shout out Brosy. Yeah. I worked for his dad, and we built the whole house, basically. You know, we didn't do like the electrical or plumbing, but we did all of the carpentry, trim carpentry, painting, staining, hanging doors, building windows, setting, you know, all that stuff. So I learned a lot working for him, which was cool.
So going back a little bit, how did you know in class who was a plumber?
You know, actually, I don't remember any plumbers. So
they never made it to school. They're still on the job site.
Yeah, I think so.
Had primer and glue all over their fingers and clothes.
Yeah, definitely.
You're doing construction, and you kind of learn like all things construction, right? Only because I've been working with you, seeing you do things at your house, and I'm like, damn, dude, like you could build an entire house if you wanted to.
I was fortunate enough to meet enough people and do enough stuff growing up that I picked up a little bit of everything. So I worked for an electrician for a while, a master electrician. So we did electrical work in Washington, D.C. I would go with him to work. I was basically his, his gopher or his apprentice or whatever. Did that, did all the carpentry, painting, all that stuff. I also had a stepdad or whatever, my mom's boyfriend when I was growing up, who worked on cars. So I got to learn a little bit about cars. Of course, my dad was, also in construction, learned a bunch of stuff from him too. So I got exposed to a bunch of different stuff. And once you understand, mechanics in general, like, there's a saying out there, if you could be an electrician, you have the basic understanding to be a plumber. If you have the, vice versa with plumbing to electrical. So everything kind of has like this, it's like what do you call it? Like a consistency across. So taking from what I learned as a kid, I taught myself how to weld, you just pick up stuff, everything is pretty much related to itself or its adjacent trades.
You think growing up and kind of having a love for working with your hands helped when you kind of migrated here, from Maryland? Because I'm sure once you got here, that's a big culture shift. Like there's nobody over here hanging tobacco or anything like that. I mean, any point where you're like, I'm going to kind of like do something different. I didn't even know you could do this for a living.
Yeah. Dude, I knew something was up when I got here, because when I came here, I came right out of high school. I was like destined to probably be in jail where I was at. So I literally came here and I knew something was up when I showed up to Scottsdale Community College and there were kids driving BMWs. And I was like, what? Like, how is this for real? I remember on our senior superlatives, they'd have like most energetic, best smile, all that stuff. They had best car. Dude, our best car was like an 8-year-old, like, Honda Prelude or something. Oh, and then I come out here and I meet these people and they're like, oh yeah, my friend's got like an SL 500. I'm like, what? He's like 17. You know what I mean? Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So I knew something was different. Where I'm from, nothing flashy, man. It's all just hard work and, more of like the family oriented stuff and not so much flash or shopping or that kind of stuff.
So you were exposed to like some of the finer things growing up, like work hard, play hard. Did your dad instill that in you? Because I mean, you know what's up on the finer things. So I'm sure even seeing those cars at the Scottsdale College, you could kind of like appreciate it and not so much look at it as, you know, a UFO or something like, what the hell is that?
Yeah. So something interesting happened to me when I was growing up. So we had, up until the time I was 10 years old, my family was pretty wealthy. My father built houses. He had a huge company. He had a plumbing and electrical company. So we were pretty well off until I was about 10. And then the economy turned. My father lost his companies. So from 0 to 10, when I didn't really have a very great understanding of life, we were pretty wealthy. Well, from 10 until I left when I was 18, it was pretty rough. You know, my father lost his companies. He moved out of state. I lived with my mom. You know, it was very much the opposite of, you know, that stuff. So there was a period where I didn't know anything. You know, didn't have anything. I had to get myself everything, figure out how to feed myself, all that stuff. So I got to see both sides of the coin. I didn't really get to experience the finer things in life until I got to Arizona. That's really when I got to see what's up.
Yeah. How was your dad during that time? Because I'm sure, like any other parent, they love, you know, going above and beyond for their kids, you know, making sure that they get all the birthday gifts and Christmas gifts that they want. And,
Yeah.
you know, living in a nice place, all those things. Like when shit went south, like how did he treat that situation?
Dude, my dad was like such a stand-up guy. I mean, he's an amazing dude. When he lost his companies, he took a job with Ryland Homes and moved to New Jersey, and he would make that 4-hour drive back to see us religiously every other week. You know, he never missed a beat. And you know, even when things were crazy tough with money, I remember he picked me up. There was this one time when things were really bad. Him and my mom, at the same time that he was losing his companies, they were going through a divorce, separation, and he picked me up and he took me to a Red Lobster, and it was his last $25. I remember.
Damn.
Yeah, but he had a smile on his face. Like he wasn't going to let me know that he was stressed out. And he said, "Hey, look, we got to share, but like, let's go here and we'll grab some food." And it was his last $25, like until whenever the next time he was going to get paid or whatever. And yeah, it was tough times, man. But it taught me, like, I look back on that and lean on that for confidence and stuff. I mean, if he can do it, man, you know, and he did it with such grace, like it gives us all hope, man, or gives me hope for sure.
Your dad really is a stand-up dude. You know, we talk about him quite a bit. What's your mom like? Is that
Mama
another
Bowie.
story?
Yeah, Mama Bowie. She's crazy, man. She's 100% Cuban. So she's got the fire in the blood. When I was growing up, she fist fought we went to private school when we were young, 4th grade, and she fist fought one of the nuns. Yeah, she's
Damn.
Nobody messed with her kids, man.
Do you remember what it was over?
She called my sister stupid. The nun called my sister stupid, and my mom punched her. Yeah. So I shouldn't say they got into a fist fight. My mom punched her once.
It was just a clean knockout.
Yeah. She was mama bear to the 100%, man. There was one time we were in the boardwalk in Ocean City in Maryland. The big place to go is Ocean City. They got a huge boardwalk. Are you familiar with the Matterhorn? Have you ever seen the Matterhorn at like the fair? It's like the ride.
Yeah.
They go around the thing, right? So the chain was up and the machine was running. So like I was a little kid and I went to like go up and the guy like pushed me to keep me from going in to get hurt. My mom fucked this dude up, man. Like grabbed him by his fucking collar. Like, don't ever touch my fucking kids. Like she's got the fire, man.
Dude, that's crazy.
So, that's cool.
And you have just sisters, right?
Yeah. So I have 2 twin sisters that are 18 months older than me.
And they're all still back over there.
One's in Maryland. One's in Florida. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're in Arizona. I know you were going to go to college for construction and, you know, one thing led to another. What kind of happens after that?
Yeah. So I wanted to get into the Del Webb School of Construction. Right away, when I got into college, it was the same thing another day. Back home, I hated school and I hated it here too. You know, at first it was great because I was in a new place. I'm going to do great in school right away. I realized it was the same thing. So started working. Originally decided, you know, I had a plan. I was like, okay, I'm going to start a framing company because I know how to frame. I've framed before. Let's do it. Then I met a guy, started cleaning pools. And so it was kind of like a transition. I got introduced to pools and started working with him. My father, who was a home builder in Arizona, knew the owners of Shasta. Steve asked and Jeff asked. He introduced me to them. Long story short, I ended up contacting their pool plumber. There's a whole story behind that too. I saw some guys plumbing a pool. It interested me, and that's what made me engage him to get that connection done. So did that, became a pool plumber, and then the rest is history, man. I started at the very bottom and until I ran his company, and then I started my own company.
Did you have any idea, like in the very beginning, like how competitive the market was? I mean, not just for plumbing, but even like, did you not do framing early on because you didn't realize because I think this is probably more of a competitive market than people think.
Yeah.
Like I could see somebody coming here from maybe a small town back east and be like, shit, I didn't realize I was up against all this.
That was 0% of my decision. Honestly, the competitiveness. I was just young, hungry, and I saw a window to run with it. Looking back now, yeah, probably would have been good to be in a different trade. This is a super competitive market, super competitive business. These guys will cut each other's throats to frickin' sell pools and sell jobs, man. It's crazy. It's nuts. But yeah, that played no role in it. My father told me once, sometimes you make a plan A to B and you think it's a straight line, but it's not a straight line. My A was where I was. My B is how I wanted to own a company and be a millionaire. And it wasn't a straight line. It took me, across over here. I had to dip over here, and then I ended up here. And
sure.
So yeah, it was not planned.
Do you remember like your first pool plumbing job?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember the first job I ever plumbed as an apprentice. I remember the first job I ever plumbed as a crew leader when I finally got my own crew. And I remember the first job I ever plumbed when I started my company.
Sharp memory. What was that first day like? Like, I know you started from the very bottom, right? Like you were digging trenches and shit.
Yeah, I look back on it now, and the guy that I was working for, thank God he held on to me because I didn't know shit about like plumbing, This is kind of a weird thing to remember, but the first thing I remember is the glue jug. So I don't know if you're familiar with a plumbing glue jug, but it's like a quart-sized can. It's got a dauber that goes in the top, and then every day you're filling it. It's a reusable can. So what happens is the top of the can gets like this glue mat over it because you're pulling the dauber in and out. And his glue can, it didn't even look real. It looked like a melted candle. And I just remember being like, what the hell is that? Like, because he was using it like in the floor of the pool or whatever. That was like my highlight of my first day. And that was probably the best thing that happened all that day because I was probably swinging a pick the rest of the day.
Oh, yeah. Super exciting.
Yeah.
Did you get hazed at all? I mean, did they kind of press you at all? Or maybe just like today where it's like, nah, be cool.
Yeah.
Like we need all the help we can get.
It was definitely not like that. It was, in the times that I started, you could get fired for not working. Now, a warm body holds the spot like gold,
Yeah.
So no, you could definitely get fired, but I had a different mentality than kids now. I just wanted to work and do hard work. And so he appreciated that and he taught me, luckily. So hazing, no. But in general, when you're in construction, ridicule and being, yelled at is kind of comes with the territory. So, I mean, there was definitely plenty of that. The guy who trained me, his name was Sid, and he was a ex-Marine. He was also super religious. So, as a matter of fact, fun story. One time he found out I was sleeping with my girlfriend at her house, like spending the night before I would go to work. And we used to dig everything together and then plumb everything together. When he found that out, he put me on dig only duty for like a week.
No way.
Yeah.
Did he tell you why?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had the discussion right in the floor of the pool. We were working together. He's like, you know what? Get up top and dig the top. And that was it. So for like a week, I was just digging. No plumbing.
I bet you never told another soul where you were sleeping.
Yeah. It's like, that's it.
As far as anybody's concerned, I slept at home or in my car.
Yeah.
How is it now when you think about, because you talk to so many people and I see it firsthand, whether it be, social media, somebody got your number. I mean, shit, kids are running into you, in the parking lot, they think you play hockey or some shit or baseball. But, what do you think about this generation? Because at the end of the day, we still need the younger, crowd to come in here. But, it's, you tell people that you do plumbing or trade work it's not, I guess as appealing as, I don't know, something else like marketing or cryptocurrency or one of these other things out there.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of the latest generation. We're trying to figure it out all the time as we're trying to hire new talent. It's tough. Yeah, I mean, everybody is super focused on those flashy lifestyles, those taglines you see on Instagram, I got a house, I got passive income, all these things that everybody talks about, a crypto guy or whatever. It's tough, man. It's the one thing I think will happen eventually. This is my opinion. I think that eventually, we're having to pay the guys who are willing to work so much money, and there's less and less and less of them. So we're charging more for our work, obviously. So I think eventually there's going to be so much money in it that it's going to pull people in that maybe didn't want to do it. But, like look at like doctors. I don't know if you follow on Instagram American Income, but it's a guy that goes around and asks people what they make. People are making $100,000 to $500,000 doing all these different jobs or whatever. It's going to get to the point where he's going to start coming across people who are plumbers and electricians. Plumbers and electricians are already making six figures. There's no more sub six figure guys that know what they're doing. That's not real. When I was doing it, 52 grand a year was a good salary. 52 grand a year doesn't pay a helper right now. So I think eventually it's going to be such good money that it's going to start sucking people back in, and we'll get people who are willing to invest the time and all of the strain on their bodies to do it. My opinion.
Yeah, it's just totally different. I don't think most people are accustomed to like that type of labor. Because I mean, when you started out and you were digging trenches, you said you were, swinging a pick all day.
Yeah.
Like that is completely different than what anybody's used to. Like I guarantee, like if anybody had ever done anything like that, it was like maybe in the gym for like a stretch of, 5 minutes or something like that to get in shape. But, I saw it in just cleaning pools. People would phase out really fast. I mean, they talked a big game.
Yeah.
But when it came down to it, no matter how fit, how young, just like, nah, I ain't doing this shit all day.
Yeah. 100% of what drove me, man, was just tunnel vision on making money and putting myself where I wanted to be. And I think that's what people need to do. But yeah, it is tough work, man. It's hard to do hard manual labor and then add in Arizona heat. It's tough.
Were you getting paid well back then, or do you remember?
I remember when I was a helper, $300 or $400 a week was good. And then, like I said earlier, when I was a crew leader, I was trying to make $1,000 a week. That's what you're trying to make.
Sure.
These guys are making $1,000 a day right now, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Each, nuts. So,
what were some of the first things that I'm just trying to get an understanding of, like how? I mean, because you moved up pretty quick.
mm-hmm.
Within the ranks. Like, were you taking like notes of stuff? I mean, were you like studying? I don't want to say hydraulics, but like, what were you doing even after hours? Because I have to assume you were doing some extra shit on top of your normal duties in order to like expedite that process. Because I'm sure you had moved past people that had been there longer than you.
Yeah. 100% of what put me ahead was ambition. As great as it would be to sit here and tell you that I was reading books when I got off, that didn't come until much later. The reason I moved up in the ranks is because I showed up every single day. I worked as hard as I could. Every single day I was trying to learn something so that I wasn't a helper for that anymore. Whether it was like, let's pick one element of this pool, hanging a skimmer. Can I do that? I watched him do it yesterday. Let me do it today. Boom. I don't need instruction on this anymore. Let me do this. Let me do this. And I was super proactive in watching, learning, asking questions, and then mastering it myself. That's how you move up. You figure it out, master it, and then go. So as much as I would like to say I was reading books and doing extracurricular, it was really just on the job, pushing hard, making sure, again, tunnel vision on the goal, man.
I'm assuming for like what you're doing, you saw this guy hang the skimmer one day. You're just like kind of taking these mental screenshots and like, okay, I can fucking do that. I'm going to go out there, tomorrow. I want to be able to do a whole pool by myself.
Yeah. Literally, I would tell myself every day, like, we're one day closer to having our own truck. That was my first stepping stone goal. So yeah, it's exactly what I would say to myself. I don't need him to hang the skimmer tomorrow, and the next day I'm not going to need him to set this drain, and the next day I'm not going to need him to set this filter, and eventually I'm just not going to need him. And then that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You make more money when you're by yourself, right? Or
Yeah.
less people, I guess.
Yeah. Back then, you would go from making 300 or 400 and a week or whatever you were getting paid to everybody was trying to make that 1,000 a week.
This episode is also brought to you by Raypak. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. Again, that's raypak.com/NITEC, or visit the link in our show notes below. You can also listen to their episode on 224. How different are the pools that you were plumbing then from today?
In general, they're much different, much more complicated, bigger systems. People are putting in more plumbing, regularly. Back then, there's nothing that we're doing now that we weren't necessarily doing back then, but it's a lot more common now. So back then, we might see it, let's say it was a negative edge pool. You might see a negative edge pool once a month. Now we're doing a negative edge pool every single week. So it's just like more. And then there is newer stuff and there's more plumbing. So I guess to directly answer that, it's definitely things have come a ways. People want big plumbing. They understand hydraulics more now than they did when I was coming up. So they're paying more attention to line sizing and stuff like that. So it's more plumbing now, but not too terribly different than what was there back when I was in the field.
You know what I've always thought was a little bit odd, and it works, so I'm just the only odd one here, is that so many people, all the guys that work with JMax, are building these plumbing systems, but never see the water move through it. Like they don't ever see that side of it, but somehow totally understand and totally get it and can make it happen. Was that never even a thought for you where you needed to kind of like see that happen? And I know, and we're going to obviously talk more about, the tank that you've built and, how you've used that, but was that ever like a thing for you? Like, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah. There was always moments where, you do whatever they tell you to do, whatever's on the plan. If it tells you to run a pipe from here to here and stub it in this size at this elevation, you just do it, but you don't necessarily always know why. There's 3 levels to a plumber in this trade. It's apprentice, installer, and mechanic. An apprentice is just learning. An installer knows how to follow a plan, and a mechanic knows why he's doing what he's doing. So most guys are installers, either apprentices or installers. There's not a lot of mechanics. The guys who are great mechanics are guys that have experience on the service side, servicing the product after it's done, and then also have some experience on the installer side. They're well-rounded. They know everything. But yeah, to answer your question, there was tons of times when you would be doing something, not know why you do it that way, and you kind of wonder, and then maybe one day down the road you see it somewhere and you're like, oh, that's why we do it that way. There was never explanation to why we did stuff the way we did.
Don't question me, boy.
Yeah, exactly.
What was like your favorite phase of the plumbing?
Equipment,
was your thing?
For sure.
Equipment?
Headers. Yeah. Yeah, dude, that was my jam. Like and when I got my own crew and I started to get my own helpers, I always did the equipment. That was my favorite part. It's the piece of art that is set on the pool. Everything else gets covered, but your header's there forever. It's how the people that use the pool interact with your product. So it's like your piece of live art.
So if Instagram was like bottle popping back then,
oh, dude,
would you have had like
lit
the gram?
Yeah. I'm bummed out about that all the time, man. I see all these guys now that have that tool at their hands and they can post their stuff and be proud. And man, I would have loved to have done that. I have like 4 pictures of me from the field. You've probably seen the one of me in the ditch with no shirt on. But yeah, there was none of that back then. It would have been cool.
I'm only saying popping. It, judging by that picture, Instagram wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
That looked like maybe a disposable camera of some sort, maybe.
If you guys haven't seen that picture and you want, just send us an email and Greg will send out a copy.
Hell yeah. Throwing that shit up for sure. So I thought about this a couple days ago because I was visiting some of the guys out in the field, and always, around lunchtime, queuing it up, making, tortillas, and they're just doing their lunch. I mean, was that something you did back then as well?
No.
I mean, it makes so much sense, like packing a lunch or whatever instead of leaving the job site.
Yeah. No, that's totally a culture thing. The guys that I worked with, they weren't, real Mexican culture guys, so, but yeah, those guys, yeah, man, they cook tortillas on frickin' shovel blades and stuff. It's, they don't leave.
What's a good lunch for somebody doing plumbing? I mean, like,
dude,
good energy, like what is like, actually, no, I don't back up. I don't care about all that. Like, what is your go-to lunch for when
right
you were
now or when I was a helper?
No, when you were a helper.
Oh, dude. This won't be very impressive, but my favorite was Sonic. Chili cheese fries, dude. You load up on some carbs. You get the chicken, I forget what the chicken sandwich is called, and a cherry limeade. A good day for me was a Filiberto's breakfast and a Sonic lunch.
Damn.
Done, dude.
Dude, you were such a little guy too, man.
Yeah, 140 pounds, buddy.
140 pounds, man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I used to eat weight gainer while I was at work, like 3,500 calorie weight gainer trying to gain weight. Yeah.
How'd you deal with the first summer being from Maryland?
Man, I got to be honest with you. It's not that bad if you start out there at 5 a.m. If you're out there before it gets hot, your body acclimates. I mean, it wasn't that bad. I never, ever, ever got heat exhaustion. If you're drinking and eating, I mean, it's terrible. If you go from air conditioning at 12 o'clock and you walk outside, it's hot as hell. If you start at 5 a.m. when it's cool, you hydrate and you eat, no problem, man.
I mean, I wouldn't say cool, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The sun's not out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Dude, I used to work no shirt, no hat, no sunglasses. Like, dude, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
I love when you talk about that. And you said that when you got here and you weren't working with a shirt on, like that isn't normal for out here.
Super normal in Maryland.
Yeah.
Apparently not too normal in Arizona. Nobody cued me in on that. So I was the dude with no shirt on in the backyard for years. People were probably looking at me like I was crazy.
Call the cops on you, dude.
Yeah.
Like, dude, this dude's getting naked out here. Take a sip of this beer real quick.
Have you tried that yet? That one yet? The Valley beer?
Dude, it's delicious.
It's fucking good, right?
Dude, it's really good.
Yeah.
Like, I could picture there not being anything to drink in my fridge in the middle of the night, and it would be refreshing.
Yeah, it's delicious. Yeah.
So, those first, like, couple years, what were you doing, after hours? Because you're, like, a very punctual person, and, like, no matter, what you're doing in the evening or what's going on, if you got a family event, like, you're always, like, up early doing what you're supposed to. I mean, first couple years, like, what was your lifestyle like?
First couple years, it was all about, I was young. I was 19 when I started, so I was chasing the females, man.
Okay.
Yeah, so, you're peacocking, you're trying to get the best car you can. You're trying to be at the cool places and stuff, meeting people. I was new here, so a lot of my extracurricular was gym. I used to go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. I know that's hard to believe. You look at me now, but back then I was jacked, ripped, because I was cardio all day, and even though I was only 150 pounds, I was in good shape. So trying to, meet girls and get nice things, man. Just trying to get set up.
When did you get the car?
The first nice car, or
what? What was the first car?
So talking about the first car, so I came here with a 1988 Prelude. Okay. I came here in 98. Okay. So that's a 10-year-old car, and I had totally done it up like Pep Boys ghetto style, right? Get here, culture shock. I'm like, I got to change this up because this doesn't make any sense, right?
Was it like hot shit when you were where you were from? Oh,
yeah, dude. Oh, yeah.
Dope. It's like the scene from Billy Madison when he thinks like that car's still dope and he goes back to high school.
Yeah, totally.
The Thunderbird or whatever.
Yeah.
He's just like, what's that? People
Laughed
are like,
out.
what the fuck is that?
Yeah. So yeah, that happened. So the first cool car I got, I it was, so when I first got here, it was before I was plumbing, but I got a used old school BMW 3 Series, but it was enough to change, my confidence level so that like I'd be like, all right, unfortunately people derive confidence from cars and clothes and all that stuff. So that was my first. But my first cool car that I got was a Acura Integra GSR. I got it when I had been a helper for like 2 years. It was my first brand new car I bought. And that was directly a result of working and making money, man.
How stoked were you on that car?
Dude, it was so amazing. So amazing. It was awesome. I mean, it was, brand new, smelled brand new. Nobody ever had it. I paid every penny of it myself. Like, it was awesome.
What kind of clothes were you wearing? Like, I'm picturing like,
Dude.
got the car, got like a gold chain. Like, what's up?
Yeah, I was kind of in an identity crisis because, again, I came from a place where like nothing mattered to a place, and I was trying to figure myself out. I don't know what I was wearing, but it was probably dorky, man. It was probably a lot of Old Navy and.
Just knowing you now, I can't even like imagine, but
yeah,
you probably thought it was cool as shit, whatever. Yeah. But it was all like motivation, right? To kind of
Totally.
like keep going. I mean, you were just like on a path where you wanted to make money, and by doing that and survive, like you got to like learn the job and show up every day. And,
yeah,
I don't want to skip over that because that is like the most important thing. Like there's most of the people that have like I've ever worked with, more than half of them like weren't the brightest, but they showed up every day. Like those were my favorite people.
Yeah.
Because you could count on them, to be there. I mean, that's more than half the battle right there.
Yeah. Dude, it's so foreign to me when people aren't consistent with showing up to work. It's so crazy to me.
Do you think that's gotten worse?
Definitely. There was nothing that would make me miss work. No hangover, no headache, nothing. It was, you show up, man. You may not work at full tilt because you got a headache or whatever, but you show up. Never, if I got a cold or something, off to work I went, man. Like no days off, man. No days off.
You're kind of moving up. How long did it take before you were a manager?
Basically, so I got my own crew after 1.5 years, which was lightning fast. Like back then, that nobody got their own crew in 1.5 years. And then I had my own crew for, I guess it was 3 years. So let's say it took me 5 years to go from the bottom to running his company. And then I ran his company for 6 or 6.5 years.
Okay.
Before I started mine.
Anybody ever salty about you moving that quick?
No, man, I had a tremendous amount of respect from everybody around me because I did good work. I was nice. Like I wasn't cocky, I just did what I had to do, showed up. And, no, man, when I took over his company, all the guys that I had come up through the ranks and passed and went from a helper past them, went on, they were all like super respectful and they understood, like I put in the work. I gained their respect.
What were you doing as a crew lead?
You mean the type of work?
Yeah.
Well, back then we were heavy in Shasta. We did a lot of Shasta work. So doing a lot of work. We had gotten to the point where we could do 2 in-floors a day. I had 3 helpers, which is a big crew by today's standards. 2 guys, 3 guy crews is now. But I had 3 guys, and we could do 2
3 total, or you and 3 others?
Me and 3.
Okay.
So 4 guys. We could do 2 in-floors, 2 basic in-floors a day, or we could do a pool spa in-floor in a day, minus the dam wall jets. Pools were a little bit simpler back then, more 2-inch, less 3-inch and 4-inch. So I don't expect that of my guys. I ask them to finish an in-floor a day. I try and get them to get a pool spa ready for a phase 2, we call it. But anyway, that was good. That's a good clip, to do that.
I can only imagine that you had like this tunnel vision and process. I mean, were you and your team kind of like in sync when it came to like even like the morning, like wake up,
dialed,
prepping the truck? When we get there, we do boom, boom, boom. Because, I mean, not just plumbing, but everything. Like you can see people, just, dick around for hours, smoke breaks and breakfast. And you look up, it's 9-10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. 100% dialed in, man. Everybody, we hit the ground running in the morning. Everybody knew exactly what they had to do. And it ran like a top. You know, we had one guy and his job every single morning was to fill the ice chest. We had another guy and every single morning he would take everything out of the boxes, load it in the truck. We had another guy that would load the pipe. Like everybody had a job. And as soon as we hit that's at the supply house. As soon as we hit the job, everybody knew exactly what was going on. I was jumping out of the truck with a plan and paint. There was a guy who was going to jump in the back and start prepping all the plastics, you know, where you have to glue stuff so it sets up. There was another guy who was bringing back the material, and there was another guy who was getting the extension cord out and getting the hammers ready to start jackhammering. So yeah, man,
that's sexy, man.
Yeah, dude, we were probably. That sounds probably shitty to say, but we were probably something to see because you don't see that now. Now you don't see it that often. Now, guys that are working 10-hour days now, if they would use my process and had as much organization as me, those 10-hour days that they're using to complete X amount of work, they could probably do it in 6. It's just about, you don't walk back to the truck without taking a piece of trash in your hand. Like you make sure that everything you're doing is efficient. You know, if you have to go over here, what else has to go over here? Take the slab with you or whatever it is. So, yeah, man, we were a freaking machine.
Yeah, I mean, that's really impressive. Like 3-4 people, you know, just all in sync, because I think that's another thing is everybody being so aware. You got social media and it's so weird how, like, I think social media and maybe like your family stuff, good or bad, how it all kind of like bleeds into work shit. Whereas like you got 4 people, and I'm not saying that stuff wasn't around, but when you're totally aware what's going on, because like you said, all the job sites I feel like I've been to or JMax, like it's kind of a hike from where you might park. So it's best practice. But like, dude, even if you're going to the porta potty that's near parking, it's like, dude, can I take this box of fittings back to the truck? Yep. And what can I take back with me?
It's 100% right, man.
Lost art.
Yeah, maybe not lost, but rare.
Why do you think that you all got it and maybe, others don't?
Yeah. It's a personality. It's a characteristic of the person. I look at the guys who do really good and at our company, and Caesar and Diego, those guys are amazing. They care about everything they do. It's one thing to show up and do the work because you want to get a paycheck. We have those guys too, and they stay on the smaller stuff. But if you care about what you're doing and your personality is like, I want to be proud of this when I'm done, that's the kind of guys who succeed. Caesar had a leak the other day, and he's like, dude, I feel so bad about it. Dude, I got guys, if they got a leak, they wouldn't even expect to go fix it themselves. They would think our service guys do it. But, for Caesar, he's like, oh, man, I got a leak. This is terrible. That's the kind of guys. That's the personality of the guys who are top-notch, super successful.
Yeah, I love those guys. I mean, you could just tell, like, you just meet Caesar or Diego for the first time, and that was probably one of the things that surprised me most when coming on a JMax was, like, how much they cared about this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they know that they might move a little bit slower, but they're trying to like not miss anything. Mm-hmm. And they're proud of what they do. I mean, they sign the plumbing, hashtag JMax gang, and draw even a little Instagram deal on the plumbing. But dude, it's super cool to see that, because I remember anything I ever did, and I've always talked about it, I was proud. Like when I was working at Pizza Hut, at that time, I was the best delivery driver.
Yeah.
And when I was busting tables, I was like the best at that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was, but something in the back of your mind, especially if you're thinking of being an entrepreneur, is like these things, you can't do the big things in life unless you can do the little things. And it's the little things that actually make you who you are. Because if you can't take orders, and if you can't even, because I think even being an employee and thinking about what your boss does, and it's like, if you don't like what they're doing, like that's okay. Just make note of it. Maybe that's you one day, and you're going to be faced with having to make those decisions. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Because I know that there's things that like even your parents do. You reflect on when you got to go through that shit, and you're like, oh,
I'm going to do it different.
Yeah, I'm going to do it different. And then you're like faced with that thing, and it's like, I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Now I
shut
get
the
it. Yeah, man, for sure.
I mean, so I just want to talk about this because I think anybody listening, plumbing, electrical, anything can learn something from this. When you had that sort of best crew you were working with, did you hang out after work? Did you meet before? Like you actually formed the team and talked about, okay, if you're going to be on this team, this is how we do shit. There's no messing around. This is how we do it.
There was no discussion about this is how we're going to do it, but I was pretty famous for making them just rip it out. And dude, I hate to say it, but I was a ridicule guy too, man. Like if somebody did something stupid, I'd be like, dude, that's freaking ugly. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen you do, which is terrible. But that's, it's just a learned way to act or whatever. So there was no like premeditated talk where I'm like, look, we're going to be the best. But they knew if they did something stupid, they were going to have to rip it out. So they just didn't do stupid shit. Like we were real big. Don't double 90 anything. I don't care how long it takes, how much more you have to dig, double 45 it. Always. Always. And if anybody double 90'd anything on my crew, they're cutting it out, man. And then you know what? They spent twice as long to do it right. So fucking do it right the first time. Like it's just that easy.
Are you that good? You catch everything?
No,
I mean,
I'm sure not, but
I mean, for the most part, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I get to a point
you don't
where
have to catch everything. You just have to, catch enough, keep guys in line.
Your eyes are pretty sharp, though. I feel like you can see something not right from like a little ways away.
I have massive OCD, undiagnosed OCD. I can walk on a job. I feel like I can see level better than most people. Level, parallel, perpendicular, those things. I definitely have an eye for that. And I think it's a little bit obsessive compulsive, man. You want to see things a certain way.
That you do. That is 100% for sure.
Yeah.
You've always been so sweet to me, and it's crazy to think of you any other way. Okay, so you're leading this. You transition. Like, where did the idea come to do JMax? And I mean, even the timing of it is freaking crazy.
Yeah. Started JMax in 2008 when everything was crashing. Let me take that back. I started JMax officially in 2010. Around 2008, I saw the groundwork for starting the company because I saw what was going on. I was the highest paid employee. I was the right hand to the owner of the company. I could see the writing on the wall. I knew that if we got to a certain point, my job was expendable. I didn't want to go back into the field. I knew how to do everything basically. So why not start a company? It was my ultimate goal anyway. The timing was right. So I did. The downside of that is starting a company in the midst of one of the biggest economic downturns in our lifetime is not fun. I right away, trying to fund a company that everybody's tight on money. They don't pay you on time. It was probably the worst, most stressful time to start a company, but luckily I survived, bored in the fire. So
prior to that, you did have some business expertise. Like by the time you started JMax, like you officially started with JMax,
mm-hmm.
Were you, at the other company collecting money, invoicing, like had
Everything.
you been doing that at the other company?
Everything. Yeah. I was the right-hand guy. The only thing I didn't do was I didn't pay the bills. But everything else, collecting the money, invoicing, estimating, meeting the crews, scheduling, processes, improvements, trucks, acquisitions of equipment and tools, trying to make everything better. I was just as proud to have his name on my shirt as I am now to have JMax on my shirt. I wanted everything we did to be freaking dialed in. So yeah, I did everything there. Like I said, the only thing not pay bills. So when I transitioned into my own, it was same shit another day, but a lot prouder.
Yeah, for sure. How did you like the business side of it? And that's totally different from, being in the trenches or doing the plumbing as a lead.
Yeah. I mean, it's got its ups and downs. It's got its positives and negatives. It's tough being a business owner. Anybody listening to this that might think about being a business owner, it's harder than you're thinking for sure. I
usually just tell people don't do it.
Yeah. Dude, I've had many a night where I'm just like, it would be really nice to shut my phone off at 5 o'clock and not have to worry about anything. And you can't do that as a business owner. It's so I like the business side when everything's going good. When the struggles hit, it's a crosshair to be behind, man, for sure.
But you're the perfect person for the job. You know, I see chaos all around you, but you know, you deal with it very well. You know, so many things I see you have to go through. I'm like, fuck that. Like, there's some people, there's some people that are meant for that. And I don't think they get, you know, enough appreciation. You know what I mean? But it's, fuck, man, I've been close with you for a little while now. And I'm just like, dude, you can just tell that there's people that, you know, need to be employees. And then there's other people that need to run businesses.
Yeah.
Because I love where I'm at personally, because I'm like, I've accepted it. I'm like, dude, it's just, I don't do no business. And if I do, like, I'm doing it with JB here. Like that's it. Yeah. Because you're going to let me know that's bad idea, good idea. And I take that to heart, what, you know, you suggest, but it's just, they're just two different things. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, man, you should really, if things aren't going so well in your pool service company or plumbing company, electrical, whatever it is, like, it's okay to go work for another company. I actually think they make even better employees because I was talking about before, like an entrepreneur or something like that, but they're more of like, they have that proud mentality that they take into, you know, somebody else's business. And I think that's extremely valuable, because what does every business owner want is like people to like care about their business the way that they do. Yeah. And it'll never be at that height, but like, dude, I'm fucking JMax proud. Yeah. I'm going to get a tattoo before you do.
Good luck.
It's
now that you even whispered it, I'm always looking for a reason to get a tattoo.
So I'm assuming JMax is JMax Million.
Yeah. JMax stands for Justin Maximilian.
How long did it take to come up with that?
Growing up, my dad had a license plate that was twin JMax. Twin JMax.
Oh, shit. You said, I'm taking that.
Yeah. Is that right? Yeah, twin JMax. Anyway, it was a license plate that he had, because my sisters were twins and I was Justin Maximilian. So, twin JMax.
Have you heard of any other company called JMax?
There's a JMax Construction out of Mesa.
Here?
Yeah, I know that.
Are you kidding me?
No, I know that because I went into when my father retired, we started a residential commercial building company, and we tried to get JMax Construction, and it was taken. He's since let his license lapse, but yeah, we had to call it JMax Builders.
And it's spelled the same way?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Not like Big Max, like JMax? JMax.
Yeah.
So you got JMax going. I mean, was it rough for the first year? I mean, did you just like
first three
grind it out?
First three were rough.
What's
rough is because I was in the field. I didn't have anybody when I first started. It was just me, and I had
just you.
Well, not literally. It was me, and I had a helper.
Okay.
So it was me and a helper, and you know, I was doing everything. I was doing all of the plumbing. I was doing all the estimating. So you know, you work all day, you come home, whatever. It was that way for probably the first 3 years, where it was just, you know, had to wear all the hats and, you know, just trying to do the big stuff. One thing that happened right away when I started JMax is we started getting the big jobs. So it was like right away, you know, getting soaked up by all this like heavy labor, heavy brain power stuff. And that made it crazy. And then one of the biggest curveballs I had to experience in my first, I don't know, definitely within the first 5 years, was I had two companies go out of business that owed me $50,000 and $30,000. So shout out Paddock Pools, bastards. So, but the old Paddock, not Buzz. I love Buzz. But yeah, the guys who took over, they got me.
What if they hear this and they want to send you a check?
That'd be great. That would be great.
It's never too late to pay a debt, right?
Yeah. So that was tough. You know, imagine you're starting a company, you're trying to get your footwork, and then you get shredded for $50,000 and $30,000. It's crazy.
That's crazy, because you've probably taken bigger losses than that since then.
Yeah, unfortunately, taking losses in subcontracting world's a thing. Well, I think in contracting world in general, you know, a friend of mine who owns C&E Builders, he takes hits all the time, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure all these builders do.
we don't, that's like a topic all by itself. But, what do you think could happen to like sort of mitigate that risk and to make it a little bit?
Dude, I honestly think it's all about putting it into the job cost. Not putting it into the job cost of that job, but it's a cost of doing business. You have to expect you're going to get strung out for 30 to 50K every 4 million bucks you collect or whatever. I mean, it just needs to be part of your expected loss. You can't, there's a lot of stuff you can't chase. You can't sue people if they owe you $5,000. You just can't. You chase bad money with good money. So there's a lot of shit you just have to write off. It's a part of the business, unfortunately. That's my opinion.
So when those two situations happened, I mean, were the terms kind of the same then as they are now in terms of when you get paid?
Yeah, I mean, we set our own, pool builders have a very specific, that's governed by the Arizona law and when they can collect money, but we set our own contract. So it's different for every customer. It varies by the company, I guess.
Yeah, it's just part of doing business, right?
Yeah, totally.
Do you have any suggestions because I know you give advice even to people starting new plumbing companies, different things like that, to kind of tread slow and, what is some advice when it comes to kind of that finance side so that, one person not paying you puts you out of business?
Yeah. I mean, you can't control the timing of it, but, trying to be aware that it can happen. And I think the other thing is having good contracts. I didn't have great contracts until probably my 5th year with JMax, have them reviewed by an attorney and stuff. The idea, behind a contract for me isn't necessarily, looking to enforce the contract later. Cause like I said, if they owe you $5,000, it doesn't matter what the contract says. Are you going to spend $6,000 and try and collect 5 and then collect 3 and then your lawyer takes $1,500?
Yeah.
You're not. And the idea is to get a contract in front of somebody that makes them aware and stipulates when you can collect payments and then collect those payments on time and at least try and get, things spelled out. If you just are doing jobs and then you call the customer and you say, hey, I'd like to collect a check, you're screwed because you have nothing in writing and stuff. So I would say to anybody looking to start a subcontracting company, get a good contract right away. That should be your first step. And like I said, you can't control the timing of when you're going to get screwed. You got to start putting away money right away to prepare for when that happens. Because if you get screwed, you still got to pay your guys. And you still got to pay your supplier because you can't get cut off by your supplier and you can't lose your labor. That's not an option. You have to be the bushing.
Golden rules.
It's brutal, dude.
So what were some of your first hires?
First hires, so guys that I knew from the business that I had worked with or beside, and as a matter of fact, 2 or 3 of those guys are still with me. They've been here since the very beginning. Those were some of my first hires, guys I knew that knew the business and that I trusted. They're still with me to this day. Tony and Anario, 2 of them, awesome dudes. So yeah,
there's something special about the old timers like that have been with JMax, for a long time.
Yeah,
Chris, Mike, Tony, like just for what they have to do and the kind of people they got to deal with, and whether it be people on the team or builders, different things like that. Like they're just like so like calm and cool.
Yeah,
even Joe. I'm like, man, you look too gnarly to be so kind.
Joe's like one of the nicest guys on the planet. And yeah, he doesn't.
Walking up to him, it looked like you might want to get put in a headlock or something.
Yeah.
Chris, too. He's such a big dude. He's like, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, oh, shit. What's up, dude?
Chris, for Chris, yeah.
I mean, Chris could check some fools.
Yeah.
I could see him like, what?
Yeah. He's trained in jiu-jitsu, too, so.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's really scary.
Yeah, all those guys, man, it's amazing. I'm a tough person to work for too, because I'm so demanding, and I can be super. I mean, there's things I'm not proud of myself, obviously, for being a boss. I can be super harsh. When something doesn't go right, it frickin' bends me sideways, man, and people around me know. So,
you think it's sometimes I think maybe your level of common sense isn't common sense to like everybody.
For sure.
I think everybody's like level of common sense is like different. It's like, oh, fuck, I didn't know I had to tell you that. It's like, yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of my personality, too, was shaped by those years learning how to plumb, you know, where you're learning how to be efficient. And unfortunately, that plays out in the rest of my life. My wife hates it, too, so. Babe, can't you take the groceries at one time? Like, what's going on? You got to do 3 trips to the car? Like,
are you a one trip guy?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, bro. Yeah, of course.
I've always been like a one trip guy unless there's like cases of something. I remember like getting shit for that even when I was young.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I can grab all this shit in one take, like, why not?
Yeah. Plus, you're kind of like walking back like a little proud of yourself. You're like,
yeah,
I got this.
Curling that shit, dude.
Yeah. Everything is a contest on speed for me. Getting dressed, getting showered, you know, everything in our house it's just part of my personality now.
Crazy dude, man. So when'd you meet Jen, your wife?
Miss Jennifer. Met her before JMax, actually. I was looking for a roommate. I had a roommate before Jen. I had my own house that I'd bought when I was running the company that I was with before, Herder. And had that house, looking for a roommate, didn't have a girlfriend at the time. A guy that I used to lift weights with, knew Jen. Jen was a fitness model. She was a bikini model or whatever. Or not whatever, it's a serious thing. But she became my roommate and like immediately stopped wearing clothes in the house. That was unexpected. But we started dating because we lived together. It was easy, and she's freaking awesome, man. And
dude, she really is, dude.
Yeah.
She's super awesome. And that's so cool that you've even been together since then. I mean, she's seen you when you were broke, right?
Dude, she's seen me in some shitty, she's been through the shit with me, man.
Damn.
Yeah, if she was like, you know how you see sharks in the water and they've got like bite marks all over them from all the years of shit they've been through? That's her. She's unfortunately been through all of it with me.
It was meant to be, right?
Yeah, I think so, man. She's the perfect complement to my crazy personality.
It's got to be so difficult because I even know kind of your work habits these days, but I can't even imagine those beginning years of JMax, like all the 6 and 7. It's not even like the 6-7 days a week. Like we all work to an extent, but like I mean, real office time.
Yeah.
Real like shoveling the ground, like doing shit 7 days a week. Like that takes a toll even on a relationship, because you're kind of like selling your partner where it's like, babe, I'm telling you, things are going to get better.
Yeah.
Back of your mind, like, fuck, I really don't know.
Yeah. Dude, there was times, I remember there was a moment when, I forget how long it was now. I don't know if it was 9 months or a year or whatever, but I had worked 7 days a week, no vacations for some crazy amount of time. Let's say it was 9 months or whatever. And I remember just she called me and I was a total mess. It was like a Sunday. I was at my office. I'm like, I have this feeling of desperation. I don't know when my next day off is. Like, I have no gas left in the tank and I can't not have gas in the tank. Like, I got to keep going. And I don't have a light at the end of the tunnel. That was like one of the hardest moments I ever had. And of course, dude, you suck it up and you do it. You fucking get through it.
Now you got the shit. I knew you when you didn't have kids, but now you got 2 handsome boys.
Yep. We got 2 boys. Just bringing them boys up. It adds a little bit to the mix.
It was awesome seeing everybody at the Christmas party. I mean, even the girls, my daughters, are asking about Max. Like, dude, he's just so cool. And I'm like,
he loves kids.
Hell yeah. Mike, this would have been really difficult if you guys didn't get along. I mean, they've seen each other before, but they got some kind of one-on-one time. It was super cool. At what point did you kind of start getting a reputation of, having a good team and, being able to work with, some of the big builders in town? I mean, even some of the, well-respected ones that would trust somebody to do their plumbing. At what point did that happen?
So I built the reputation when I was at the company prior, but when I came out of the gates, I didn't get the big companies because this business is very click, very, you don't step on this guy's toes, this, that. So I had this dilemma where I couldn't go after everybody I knew. I had to start working for all these brand new companies. So, dude, I got the Paddocks who were in distress. I got the, Camelback Pools that was going out of business. I had to start working for all the guys that weren't great before. So I had everyone's trust, and I had the reputation straight out of the gate because everybody knew me. They knew who I was. They knew of that company that I worked for. That was given. And then just having to sort out the bad apples after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that would be difficult because people know who you are, but it's not, especially knowing your character, that you're going to go jack, the company you work for and taking their customers on. Did you have some kind of, non-disclosure at that point?
No, I didn't have a non-compete. We had a gentleman's agreement, which I don't know. Maybe
that used to mean something, huh?
Yeah. I don't know how smart that was looking back. I don't know that anybody would do that for me, but anyway, I had a gentleman's agreement with him. I certainly had opportunities. Before I left, I had some of the companies that he worked for offering to put me into business. And I never did any of those things. I definitely could have. There was times when I could have taken advantage of that situation, but I didn't. So yeah, I don't know how smart that was. I don't know.
I think it was very smart. There's not too many people I know of. I know a lot of people in this business and other businesses, but you are one well-respected dude. I mean, that's why I fuck with you. So thank you so much for sharing all those details. It's, I've always talked to you about this. I want to share with people how much work that you've put in. Nothing was handed to you. You really, started from the bottom, and it's taken many years to get to where you are today. And I see this firsthand, every single day. I mean, we still go back and forth, almost 7 days a week on different things that we got going on. And hopefully people can listen to this, and, we're going to have fun, with pool chasers and everything that's going on at JMax. But, hopefully listen to this and, understand, shit doesn't happen overnight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right, man. Nothing worth having comes easy. That's for sure.
Yeah. How proud is your dad of what you've built?
I think pretty proud, man. I think, I have no regrets for sure on getting to where I am, and I don't feel like I let him down. So that's good. He's, he worked for me for years in our just doing invoicing and stuff and estimating. So yeah, I think he's proud, man. I'm glad that I was able to do that.
Yeah. So having two sons, I mean, very young.
Yeah.
Would you ever suggest them getting into the trades when they're older, or does that just seem so far out?
Dude, yes. I hate when I hear people say, I don't want my kids to do this. Fuck that, man.
I usually hear that.
I'm going to give them the best head start they've ever had, dude. And it's like, maybe I won't have generational wealth to hand down, but I'll be damned if I'm not going to hand them the keys to get a jump start. I'm going to make them work for it for sure. But yeah, man, I mean, the whole point is to bring your kids up to have it better than you. I don't know a better way to do that than give them something that means something,
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Always going to eat, a trade.
That's right.
And that's cool too, because I always see Max, dude loves trucks, cars, playing on his tractor, messing around in the dirt, got all the, ingredients right there.
He's got 3 shovels. He's 2 years old and he has 3 shovels.
That's gangster.
I got guys that work for me that don't have a shovel.
And he's got mad swag. Man, that kid's going to be handsome. Watch out.
Yeah.
It's taking over. Love it. So let's talk a little bit about, where JMax is today.
Mm-hmm.
How many crews, what's going on. I know things are ebb and flow, always changing, but, what's going on today? I
think right now we have we have several divisions, right? We have our service division, which right now we're running 2. We were running 4 crews in the service division. We're running 2 now. One of them I converted to office when my father retired. He's doing invoicing for me. That's Mike. Mike's freaking awesome. Got another guy that things didn't work out with us. On the new construction side, we have We float between 6 and 12 crews right now. I think we have 6 solid new construction crews, which is good. That's perfect for us. And then we also have another division of JMax, which does houses. We have houses and gas. So that division has 4 crews. So we're a decent sized company. I think there's 40 of us all in or something like that. And we got, managers. We got a manager, general manager who oversees the daily. We got a field supervisor who oversees the crews. He's basically the shortstop between the field and the office. And then we got our service guys who they're pretty much self-sufficient. They report back to our general manager. And then, of course, there's me. And then on our house plumbing side, I have a partner, Joe, who's freaking awesome. He's, doing everything over there, wearing all the hats too.
Yes, everybody's incredible. And working with, awesome builders too.
Yeah.
The relationships that, got going on. Everyone's building some rad pools.
Yeah. I mean, we just came out of a really crazy post-COVID, time. Some relationships were lost for sure. Some new ones gained. But overall, man, we are connected to the best of the best. The builders that we work for, if you go to our website and you look down and see the guys that we associate with, those are the dudes, man. Those are the guys that are doing the good work.
Yeah. Look forward to having some of them on the podcast with you.
Definitely.
It'd be some good times for sure. So I just thought about this right now. So I've been with JMax, like a year and a half, maybe?
At least it feels like,
something like that. And dude, it's been incredible. At some point you got to look in the mirror and figure out, who you are and what you want to do. And I'm not like a business person. I'm a creative guy, and I need to work with, people that complement that. That's you. So, took me on about a year and a half ago, and man, we just got all kinds of really cool shit going on between, the podcast obviously now, but doing some custom tooling stuff, got a bunch of t-shirts in the works. I mean, just all kinds of, cool stuff that we're doing. And, having you on the podcast, I've learned so much, from our friendship. I mean, we meet once a week on Thursdays. I pick your brain on stuff and we kind of recap on what's been done, but we've also gone out of town on business, went to San Diego, Vegas, and some other places. And man, I try to be as much a sponge as possible because so much and you're pretty patient with me. I think maybe it's due to me being like eager to want to know that stuff. But, this is like a dream come true because I've learned so much from you and I've learned so much from the podcast. I'm like, dude, this is perfect. If people can get, out of this, what I've learned, like it's going to be truly amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's little projects. I know we are like, what were we doing? We're doing you're like building a table or something from scratch. And I feel like it took longer because it's just like asking you so many questions. Like, what tool is that? Yeah. Why'd you do that? Oh, is that how you measure it? Oh, I didn't. Oh, that's what tool.
Hold the flashlight, Greg.
Dude, I love that shit. It makes me, I always talk to you about this. Like, I'm stoked that you get to give that to your kids. I know you don't know any other way. Like, I don't have to tell you that, but I wasn't given that. And I know a lot of people, grew up with not having that shit. But at the end of the day, it's all good. It's never too late to learn. Mm-hmm. But I just think, man, we're going to have so much fun doing this shit because we've got 2 different skill sets, but we do have like certain interests that are the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a lot of cool shit. Just picked up new Hayes and Williams shirt. You had a great idea kind of doing that. What was that Bush Cheney?
Yeah.
Kind of political campaign back in the day, red, white, and blue, but it says Hayes and Williams and bringing hydraulics back.
Yeah.
Super dope.
It's going to be cool to give some cool lifestyle stuff to the plumbing trade. I think too many times there's a lot of dorks in the business. So hopefully we can throw some cool stuff together for everybody.
Yeah. Might be the first to kind of do that. And I think there's cool people within a lot of different niches, and they just need one person to almost validate that it's okay to do something. And then it's like a trend happens where it's like, oh, we're going to make this.
Yeah.
Even though it kind of sucks for us because we're like, dude, ain't shit been done in ever. And all of a sudden somebody's doing something, but we'll deal with that when the time comes.
Yeah, that's the story of my life with this whole company. You do something and then somebody copies it. It's crazy.
Yeah, but you can copy it, but the leadership, you can't copy that.
It's true.
Because leadership is like, never sleeps.
It's true. 7
days a week. A true leader, I feel like you can't do anything without, going to In and Out or something and being like, oh, dude, I like the way they do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that piece, that greeting or that process, or like, that's the kind of person that, like, there's companies that phase out quick, that they want to make a sleek brand and get your money and peace out.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. So we've got a bunch of cool shit going on, and I want to talk more about what people can expect this year from the podcast. Before I feel like it's been like extremely planned out, but I think we don't 100% know, but I do know that we're going to do what we want. And if it goes out of bounds of like swimming pools directly, then that's what it will be. But we are in the pool business and we're not going anywhere. So if we talk to anybody, if it's the owner of, the coolest boutique hotel in Mexico, guarantee it's going to have some bleed over, where they're talking about hospitality, customer service, all of those things. I mean, if it's stuff that we'd like to know, then I'm sure, you'd get a kick out of what we got to talk about.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked to bring in some of the lifestyle stuff. A lot of times in business, you meet people and you start to learn what their interests are outside of work, and you realize, there's people with a lot of other stuff going on outside the work. So hopefully we can relate to some people and toss in some lifestyle stuff too.
Yeah, heavy on the lifestyle. Marketing, that's going to be done. Contractor stuff, I love that because you're extremely passionate about that. I've heard you kind of just veer into like contractor specific stuff, and it can get hot real quick. So
sure.
I look forward to being quiet and just taking notes one day when you got the right, people in here talking.
Yeah. Hell yeah. It's going to be awesome.
We are moving, actually, you hear this probably be in there, but into a new little facility. Super, super freaking excited about that.
Yeah.
So it'll be like JMax, Pool Chasers, all under one roof.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good time.
Yep. New studio. It's going to be sweet, man. It'll be bigger studio. More
murdered
room,
out.
More room for beer. Murdered out.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
How is that AleSmith? Going down good?
Dude, it is tasty, bro. And I have not given you one yet.
That's all right.
I plan on sharing, even
hot.
if you have to take some home. So we plan on doing with these beers as, maybe having like a little shelf, or I imagine like a shadow box, like a big ass shadow box. You imagine like a beer for every episode, like a different one?
Dude.
That would be dope. I imagine at the end of the year, share all those beers. Someone's going to catch wind of it and they're going to want to do a collab. And I will say yes.
I will say yes, for sure.
I don't know if you'd want to do it. I don't even know what you're going to say. Yes. So I know you've got a lot of different interests these days. Your business has a different height and everything that you have and all the activities that you like to do, which, I mean, your days are very tight. You fit these, even your interests, they got to fit into your schedule, perfectly, and usually on the weekend or something. But, you talked about, what was your first car again?
First car was a Honda Prelude. My first cool car was an Integra GSR.
Okay. I know you love cars.
Yes.
What kind of whips have you had after that?
So I guess the coolest cars that I've had after that, Probably Audi R8. I had an R8 V10 Plus. That was a freaking awesome car. Did the whole Vorsteiner carbon kit on it. That thing was awesome. Brixton wheels. Sweet.
I was sad when you told me that. Yeah, you let that one go. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
That wasn't even mine. That shit was so sick.
Yeah, that was my first quote unquote supercar, I guess you'll call it, or whatever. First like rare car. I got that at a point in JMax when I thought I had, achieved a certain amount. So it's kind of like a reward to myself.
Did you used to drive it up to job sites?
Never. Dude, never.
I'm just kidding.
I hid that thing. I had my Instagram blocked from my personal Instagram. I blocked everybody in the business. Like, I was so nervous because I had heard stories, man. A buddy of mine, Pete Aramia, he pulled up. He had a really nice Mercedes SL back in the day, or S600 or whatever, and he pulled up to a party, and the owner of Presidential Pools walked out and said, "Hey, nice freaking car. I'll see you on Monday. We'll talk about pricing." When I got my R8, I showed up to the car show in Scottsdale, and I walk around the corner, and who's there? The owner of California Pools. And I'm like, God, what is the chances of that, man? Like,
damn.
So, it sucks, man, but you want to reward yourself.
That's the reality, though, right?
It is, man. It is. You can't. People will get, unfortunately, when you're in a business and you own the business, when you're at the level that I'm at, I mean, at some point it doesn't matter anymore, but you do have to be conscious of people, how they look at you, because they don't look bad at you if you take 3 vacations a year. That's expected. But if you take that money and you dump it into a car because that's your interest and vacations aren't, you're the bad guy. I mean, honestly. So, yeah, that was kind of the reality check I got with that car.
I take that shit to heart because I know, like, how good you are with business and you think things through more than anybody that I know. And if you decided to get whatever car, truck that you want, like, you're not that compulsive. Like, I don't even know what's in the bank. Like, it's just happening. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Like, you think everything through, especially when it comes to business. But that, I feel like that energizes you. Like, I can't even imagine, what you would be like if you didn't have that outlet, in your life, because you don't just have these cars. Like, you're a part of the culture, right? You know what I mean? Like, you like going to the meets and, hanging out with the people and, like 4 till 4 and stuff like that. Like, it's a super, super cool scene.
Yeah. Cars have been part of my life forever, man. I raced cars with my dad. I love cars, man. I don't think there will ever be a time in my life that there isn't some focus on that motorsport or just that culture, like you said. It's cool. I currently got my car that I have now is the Porsche GT3 RS. It's older. It's a 16, so it's a 9911. But dude, I've taken you to a couple events, like the Porsche culture, just being around it, it's so cool. It's worth every penny of the money that you put into those cars, man, just to be around it, especially for guys like us, or me.
Dude, and it's not directly related to, I guess, say swimming pools or plumbing or anything like that, but I feel like the inspiration that you get from, these beautiful cars and just, networking with other people, like that whole culture, I feel like sometimes we want to, like, harness that and bring it into, our work world. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I always think that there's always something can be gained from, like, cars, hotels, art, music, all these different things. I think they play a role in what we do, whether it, comes through in the brand, stuff that, you're doing on social media. I think it can all, work together. We just need to get rid of some of these negative Nancy's.
Totally.
I think there's just some jealous people or some haters that are just like, they just can't stand that shit.
People in general don't want to see you do good, man. Not people who are in the grind. Unless people are doing really well on their own, they don't want to see other people doing good. It's just part of life, man. It's competition. Unfortunately, that means you got to sometimes, stay hidden.
Yeah. It's crazy, because I think of some people, that I've had in my life that might get jealous about something. And it's like, I don't have everything, but I remember situations where we got to that fork in the road and you went left and I went right.
Yeah.
And then we got to the same road again and you went left and I went right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can't just wake up one day and decide that you want this shit. Like, it's a complete, especially for you, lifestyle of like you'll probably work your ass off for the rest of your life, no matter where you're at or what you do.
For
like,
sure.
it's just in your DNA. I can't imagine you just like sitting around all day. That'd be a bad day.
Never. Wouldn't happen to me. I think the other thing too, to touch on that happens is people get hyper focused on like the things that you aren't doing. You know, like for example, if I post now that I ran down to the racetrack and I drove my car on a Saturday, you know, I had this happen recently actually, so this is a good example. A buddy of mine, he's like, hey, I saw your post, you know, you're down at the track. That's great, man. Dude, I've been grinding, man. Like, I don't have time for that right now, you know? Like, you know, he was almost like trying to compare notes or whatever. And I'm thinking in my head, I've seen this guy post that he's at the gym every fucking night at 6 o'clock. I'm in my desk until 9 o'clock. I walk out of my office long enough to have dinner with my family, and then I'm back in my office while my wife is putting my kids to bed. Like, fuck you, man. Like, I put in 4 hours a day more than you 5 days a week before I got my 4 hours of enjoyment on the weekend.
Dude, it's priorities.
Totally, man.
I don't know how you wouldn't just like lose it. Probably because you know that they're probably, maybe some of their intentions aren't the very worst.
Yeah.
But that does hit home when somebody says something like that, because I hear that all the time. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like a respect thing. You know, it's one of my pet peeves, and we've talked about this before. Like, even people, I feel like they want to flex, like even on an email where they just write the subject.
Yeah.
And don't like
write
an email like their email is in the subject. And I'm like, you really need to like, is that how you show people like how busy you are? You can't write a fucking email.
Yeah.
Like, kills me, dude. We're doing an entire episode on that alone.
I agree.
I'm going to try to put that to rest. But, you know, besides like the car culture, like you love like when you can like travel different hotels, you know, I've got to experience some of that. And, you know, I have to say you kind of fucked me up on that, because
ruined you.
You know, other times that I've had to go like to Vegas and other places where I thought spots were cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this ain't shit. Like, I've been in way better. We have to step it up next time we're here. But it's crazy because, you know, when you stay in a nice place, man, you just feel like more valuable. It's not like you want it to stop there. Like, man, I just want a bunch of money so I can just chill in this hotel all day. No, man, like the experiences of the food, the pool, the, you know, accommodations of the hotel, like, doesn't that make you just want to like go get it even harder?
Yeah.
It's like, damn, I don't want to like lose the chance of never getting to experience things ever again. Like the one I'm most jealous of is that one out in Utah that you've been to.
Amangiri.
I know that's one of your favorites, dude. That place is.
I've been to some dope spots in my life.
That's got to be one of the coolest.
Amangiri is absolutely no conversation the dopest place I've ever been. It was such a cool spot.
How do you feel in a place like that? Like, does it energize you?
Yeah, man. Because everything I do so that I can have the things to experience that I like, you know, whether it's cars or great dinners with my wife or taking care of my kids or whatever it is. And one of the things is a priority to me is like in having experiences like that. So you go there, you have that experience, and you go home and you go, I need to keep pushing because I want more of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that it's a great energy boost and a reviver and everything.
Dude, what was like your favorite like thing to do at that spot?
The Via Ferrata. So Via Ferrata, well, I didn't know it at the time, but that means Iron Road, I guess, in another language. So they have over a gorge. So you have a guide and you you rock climb up to the top of this huge freaking mountain. And then there's one of those, it looks like a drawbridge, not a drawbridge. What do you call like
a zip line?
No. You ever see like in a movie, Like in Shrek, for example, when he goes up to save her at the top and the donkey and him have to cross that little wooden bridge that's across the gorge.
Oh, yeah.
Like one of those super sketchy ones, but this is out of steel, and you cross it. And dude, that was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had.
Must feel pretty sketchy being like at the middle point.
Yeah. What you have in the back of your mind is that this isn't the one from Shrek. It's a, this hotel that has a shit ton of money. So hopefully they put the engineering into it. But dude, that was one of the coolest experiences. I took a really good video of it with a DJI, like a handheld, what do you call it? Like a gyroscope camera. It was awesome, man. That was great.
Yeah.
But just being there, that whole experience, it's so serene. Everybody listening to this podcast should look up Amangiri. We got in when they had like a good deal for like, I think it was for February for Valentine's Day or something. And it was top notch.
That's on the bucket list. I mean, hopefully we get to do some of these podcasts in some like crazy spots.
Dude, they have tents there now. Tents. So when we went, it's a really small hotel. Like, I don't know how many rooms, less than 50 for sure, maybe 20 rooms or something.
Oh, shit.
So they built these crazy tents out in the middle, but these tents have like walls. They look like tents, but they have like walls, amazing little plunge pools, full amenities.
Oh, wow.
Dude, nuts.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is it just one story?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. It's slick.
Yeah. How far is that? Like from any other like city, town?
It's
like
right
really
past Lake
Powell.
Powell.
Oh, really?
Is that Lake Powell that's just over the border? Is that what, Lake Powell, right? It's right past that big lake that's out there. Yeah, it's Powell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like 20 minutes. And then you got Horseshoe Canyon down the road, and you have, it's amazing.
Did you know anybody that went there before, or you just, it seemed like shit on Instagram or something?
Yeah, Instagram. I forget who it was that went there. It was somebody, and I saw it, and I was like, damn, it was the pool. The pool is what drew me in. If you look at the Amangiri pool, it's a huge rock. The pool is built around like a huge rock. Amazing. It doesn't look real. It looks like you're on the moon. And I was like, let me check this place out. And that's when I found it.
That's so sick. I know we both love Sedona too. That just reminded me.
Yeah.
Sedona. I haven't actually been there in probably a couple of years, but I need to go back because that is one of my all-time favorite places
Dope.
to go. It's so good. Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate you being the new co-host. I'm beyond excited for the future of the show and, just all the exciting things that we're going to do and share with everybody. And hopefully, people dig what's going to happen on this 2.0 journey.
I'm stoked to be here, man. Like I said, and I'm super looking forward to what I can bring to the show. I think everybody listening is going to love it, man. We're going to talk some technical stuff. We're going to bring in some lifestyle stuff. We're going to make it cool, man.
Oh yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. You can find everything discussed in this episode and more in our show notes below or poolchasers2.0.com. This episode was produced by the amazing Kyle Ald. I'm Greg Villafania, and you've been listening to the Pool Chasers Podcast.